Since 2018, sports betting has exploded. We're talking going from basically illegal in most states to a massive $10 billion a year industry. And for most of us, it's just sitting right there, one tap away on our phones. Hey, I'm Zach, and welcome to this explainer on Zak Wealth Files. Today, we're diving into some pretty alarming academic data that links these mobile betting apps directly to a massive spike in personal bankruptcies. My goal today, I'm going to give you a clear, factual breakdown of exactly how this specific type of debt snowballs. And more importantly, I'm going to walk you through a bulletproof 5-step framework to protect your own finances. Just a quick reminder, we're here for general education, right? Always run your specific situation by a licensed advisor.
All right, let's just jump straight into the headline data here, because multiple independent studies are all pointing to one really striking finding. Researchers over at UCLA and Harvard actually crunched the numbers on nearly 5 million people across 33 states. These are states that legalized sports betting between 2018 and 2023. And what they found is wild. Online sports betting specifically, so we're talking about the mobile app version here, not walking into a physical casino, that actually increased the likelihood of personal bankruptcy by an estimated 25 to 30%.
So the really crucial thing to understand here is that this isn't just some vague warning that, gambling can be risky. No, this is a documented, measurable rise in financial ruin. To back up that first batch of data, a totally separate study out of the University of Southern California found incredibly similar numbers. They saw bankruptcies jump up by 28% in states after legalization. And right alongside that, they tracked an 8% increase in debt just being sent straight to collections. It really is a textbook example of what happens when a highly accessible new financial variable hits the public without any traditional safeguards in place. And look, this isn't just distant academic theory, okay? Bankruptcy attorneys are seeing this crisis play out right in their own offices every single day. There's one Florida-based bankruptcy attorney who reported that roughly 15% of his current clients are specifically carrying gambling-related debt. But here's the truly terrifying part. He noted that this specific type of debt accumulates faster than literally any other type of debt he sees in his entire practice. It is just an absolute rapid wealth destroyer.
Now, you might be wondering about the mechanics of all this. Like, why is an app on your phone uniquely more dangerous to your wallet than, say, physically walking into a casino? It brings up a really important rhetorical question. Is all sports betting equally risky? Does betting in person versus betting on your phone actually affect your long-term financial health in the exact same way? Well, the data says no, absolutely not. And understanding why is just fundamental to protecting your wealth.
So researchers found a massive difference here. In-person sports betting, that was associated with only a really small, marginal decline in financial health. We're talking about less than a 1-point drop in average credit scores. But online betting, the stuff delivered right to the phone in your pocket, that was associated with more than a 12-point average credit score drop in the states they studied. The researchers pointed out that this is a difference roughly 3 times larger than in-person betting alone. The game itself didn't suddenly change, right? It's entirely about the accessibility.
And that brings us to a concept we talk about all the time when it comes to personal finance: friction. Think of friction as a protective financial tool. It's a speed bump. It's that natural pause before you spend money, like having to physically get in your car and drive to a casino to place a bet. Mobile apps intentionally and completely remove this friction. And when you strip away the friction, spending becomes unconscious. Attorneys are reporting that clients will gamble with borrowed money using linked credit cards, where a $10 or $20 bet feels completely frictionless in the heat of the moment. Because no single transaction feels big enough to make you stop and think, people end up unknowingly bleeding hundreds of dollars an hour.
So, who is taking the biggest hit? Well, the research consistently identifies young men, generally under the age of 45 and particularly in lower income areas, as facing the absolute highest rates of bankruptcy and credit card delinquency tied to sports betting. In fact, a recent survey showed that roughly 32% of Gen Z respondents and 24% of millennials reported that they either participate in or are seriously considering participating in sports betting or prediction markets. And the secondary consequences of this? They are just devastating if you're trying to build long-term wealth. A U.S. News and World Report survey found that nearly 1 in 4 sports bettors, that's 25%, reported actually missing a bill payment specifically because of gambling. Roughly 30% said they've gone into debt, often leaning on things like payday or personal loans just to keep funding their bets. And to top it off, more than 40% report having absolutely zero emergency savings. You combine all that, and it leaves incredibly little financial cushion if a betting habit starts to snowball, which can quickly lead to broader financial instability for entire households.
Now, if any of this is resonating with your own situation, or maybe someone you care about, please know this explainer is not here to shame anyone.
It is entirely about giving you a clear path forward. So let's take all this data and turn it into a highly practical, 5-step financial safeguard framework that you can use to protect your wealth right now. Step 1 is the absolute foundation. Never link a credit card directly to a betting app. Both the research and the attorney accounts point to borrowed money betting as the exact mechanism that causes this debt to compound the fastest. If you do choose to bet, using only funds already sitting in a dedicated cash account removes the single biggest driver of that runaway, frictionless debt.
Moving on to step 2, set a hard, pre-committed spending limit before you ever even open the app. Interestingly enough, most major betting platforms actually offer built-in deposit limits and self-exclusion tools, mainly because this is such a well-recognized risk. But the trick here? You gotta set this limit while your judgment is clear and rational, right? Not in the heat of the moment when you're caught up in the middle of betting.
Step 3 is all about structural budgeting. You need to keep a strict physical separation between your essential expense accounts and your discretionary spending. Literally, the money you use to pay your rent, your bills, and buy your groceries must be entirely isolated from any account you use for betting. The research specifically highlighted that missed bill payments become a huge issue precisely when the separation isn't there.
All right, step 4 is about self-awareness. You need to consciously monitor the well-documented warning signs. Research associates problem gambling with really specific behaviors. We're talking things like chasing your losses with even larger bets, betting money that was earmarked for essential living expenses, lying about the time or money you've spent, or just feeling unable to stop even when the financial consequences are piling up. You have to take these signals seriously, instead of just brushing them off. And finally, step 5. If gambling debt has already started to build up, you have to treat it exactly like a high-interest emergency. Address it directly and address it early. Do not just let it sit there, because the research is incredibly specific that this particular type of debt tends to compound unusually fast compared to other categories. Treat it as a 5-alarm financial fire that needs to be put out immediately.
Okay, here's a quick summary of that full 5-step framework. I'd highly recommend just taking a quick screenshot of this checklist right now so you can immediately put these safeguards into action. No credit cards, preset limits, separate accounts, watch for warning signs, and address any debt early. These are practical, tangible wealth-protecting habits that actually work.
Before we wrap this up, I do want to provide a really important resource. If gambling is affecting your finances or your well-being in any way, the National Problem Gambling Helpline is at 1-800-522-4700. They offer free, confidential support 24 hours a day. Look, the whole app-based design of modern sports betting specifically works against you noticing the risks in the moment. Remember, friction is something deeply worth deliberately rebuilding for yourself to protect your financial future.
So just to summarize everything we've covered, sports betting itself isn't a new concept, but the deliberate removal of friction in the mobile, credit-linked version appears to be measurably more financially damaging than any form of gambling that came before it. I want to ask you, did any of the numbers in this data surprise you? Let me know your thoughts down below. If this explainer gave you a clearer, more honest picture of a trend that's genuinely affecting people's wealth right now, well, that is exactly what this channel is built for. Make sure to subscribe to Zak Wealth Files for more grounded, accurate financial education, and I'll catch you in the next one.